Hi everyone, welcome back to Module 7 of the 7th to 8th grade video series. Today we're going to be learning about how to answer a prompt correctly and comprehensively. So as always, before we begin, make sure to follow along with our 7th to 8th grade video series worksheet, which is linked on our website, and there are notes and practice prompts there available as well. So now we're going to really learn how to answer a writing prompt by analyzing, planning, writing, and then refining. So the first step is to analyze the prompt. So what I mean by that is, before you begin writing, you need to break the prompt apart and understand exactly what it's asking. So identify the directive words, for example, verbs like analyze, compare, describe, persuade, summarize, narrate, right? These words kind of tell you exactly what the prompt is looking for, what the prompt wants you to write. For example, analyze means break something down, and explain means why it works. Describe means explain what it is. Next, determine the audience and the purpose, past. So ask yourself, who is this for and why am I writing it? Your audience and your purpose really affect your tone, word choice, and also the level of detail you go into. Finally, pinpoint the subject and scope. So identify the main topic and any limits or requirements. For example, if the prompt says something like, use evidence from characters you've read about in literature, or focus on a specific time period, you need to make sure that you're addressing these specific points in order to fully address the prompt. The second step is to plan your response. So now that you've understood the prompt, you don't have to start writing yet. You should use the first few minutes to plan, especially in a timed environment. So you can start by brainstorming ideas. So you could do a free write, you could make a quick list, you could also draw a mind map. So the goal is to generate directly ideas that relate to the prompt. After that, you're going to develop a strong thesis statement. So again, if we go back to a few videos, your thesis statement is the main argument or central idea, and it should really clearly and directly answer the prompt. If your thesis doesn't match the question, your entire essay will be off-tracked or sidetracked. Then you're going to create a simple outline. So you can plan your introduction, your body paragraphs, each with topic, sentence, and evidence, as well as your conclusion. So this really helps you keep your writing organized, focused, and complete. And then the third part is to write and refine. So after you've planned your response, after you've analyzed the response, the prompt, now it's time to actually write. So now all you have to do is follow your outline and really write a clear, logical response. And you can use transitions like furthermore, in contrast, as a result. And these really help your ideas flow smoothly from one paragraph to the next. You should also be supporting every claim with evidence. So depending on the prompt, this could include facts, examples, quotes, personal anecdotes. And again, avoid very broad, unsupported statements because every point should be backed up. Last but not least, revise and edit. If possible, take a short break, let it marinate, and then reread your work and ask yourself, does this fully answer the prompt? Is my argument clear? And do my ideas flow logically? After that, make sure to proofread for grammar, spelling, punctuation, because those little things can really make a big impression on your reader. And reading your essay loud is a great tip and one of the best ways to catch awkward phrasing or errors in your writing. Now let's move on to the should and shouldn'ts. So let's focus on how to answer a writing prompt effectively and more importantly, or just as importantly, what to avoid. So when you respond to a prompt, your goal is to understand it fully and address every part directly. So you should analyze the prompt carefully, read the prompt more than once, identify the core topic, the task, any specific requirements, and ask yourself, what is this question really asking me to do? Next, you should identify action verbs, like we mentioned on the previous slide. These verbs tell you how to respond. If the prompt says analyze, listing facts isn't enough. You need to explain why and how. Then, break down the complex prompts. If the prompt has multiple parts, you can turn that into a checklist. So this helps ensure that you're not skipping any parts, especially if it's something important. So for shouldn't, you shouldn't use overly generic language. So really try to steer clear away from vague phrases, cliches, or empty statements. Make sure your writing is clear, specific, precise, so that your ideas actually mean something to your reader. Don't try to cover too many ideas superficially. Remember, it's better to develop one or two big main ideas deeply, and then to mention many ideas without any explanation. Depth really shows understanding and nuance. Don't assume the reader will fill in the blanks. So if an idea matters, make sure you explain it clearly and say it clearly. Make sure each point is explained and logically connected to your argument so your reader is easy to follow what you're writing. Don't reword the prompt as your only thesis. So your thesis should do more than just repeat the question. It should present your argument or perspective in response to the prompt. Now let's practice breaking down a real prompt. So our example is discuss the pros and cons of school uniforms and argue if they're beneficial. First thing on our checklist, let's identify the action verbs. So those are the commands which kind of tell you how you should respond. In this prompt, the action verbs are discuss, which means you should explore multiple viewpoints, and evaluate and argue. So this means you need to make a judgment and then take a position. So this tells us that our response must explain both sides and then take a clear stance. The second step is to identify the content words or the topic. So these really tell you what the prompt is about. In this prompt, the content words are school uniforms, pros and cons, benefits, students, and teachers. So these words really define kind of the subject matter that you should stay focused on. The third part is to identify the limiting words. So these are the words that tell you how specific your response should be or your scope of your response. So here, if we look, the limiting factors can be focus on pros and cons, evaluate the benefit. So this prevents your response from becoming too broad. Now we're going to structure our response or create an outline. So once the prompt is broken down, outlining becomes easy. And then you just have to write. With answering a prompt, as with writing in general, practice makes perfect. So that's why we've included some practice prompts and worksheets available on our website. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you in the next video series.